Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. Patriotic sloganeering as a key element of mass mobilization during the struggle for independence against the British rule is known to everyone. Some of the most evocative slogans like Vande Mataram, Jai Hind, Bharat Mata Ki Jai reverberated all over the country. Post-independence too, these and other patriotic slogans rings across the country during the Independence Day and Republic Day celebrations, among other occasions. The importance of such slogans has never been undermined. However, in recent times, a debate has been raging over how important raising these slogans are. Just last week, an MIM MLA in Maharashtra Assembly was suspended as he refused to succumb to pressures to raise the slogan of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Meanwhile, many in the government and the ruling party, BJP, and its sister organizations have taken a stand that whoever does not raise these slogans are not nationalistic or patriotic. In fact, the BJP passed a resolution yesterday saying refusal to chant it tantamounts to disrespect to the constitution itself. We will discuss today the importance of these slogans and whether chanting it is a sign of one's nationalistic and patriotic credentials, and more importantly, whether not chanting it is a sign of their anti-nationalism or lack of patriotism. To discuss this, I have with me Prof.Mridula Mukherjee, historian at the Center for Historical Studies, JNU, Vivek Katju, former ambassador, Professor Purushotham Agrawal, political analyst and former professor of political science at the JNU, Professor Rajiv Sharma, retired professor of political science at Delhi University and an RSS thinker, and Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times. Welcome to all of you. Mridula, has patriotism, patriotism is supposed to be some kind of a feeling, being nationalistic, some kind of a feeling. Is it now become an act?
Well, it does seem that there's so much noise about being having to be nationalist that one begins to worry as to, are we really so anti-national that all of us all the time have to be told to repeat this slogan or the other? Why aren't we just comfortable with the way we are? And the assumption is we all love our country. We do our best for it. We do, as a teacher, I think I do nation building activity by teaching well, teaching about things that matter, teaching about the history of my country, its glorious past, its faults, its freedom struggle with all its complexities. We all do nation building in our own way, and I don't think we do more by chanting slogans. I know many people who are very loud in chanting slogans, but I doubt that their contribution actually to building the nation is very great. So I'm not a great, if one wants to chant a slogan, well and good. There are occasions for slogans. When people go in demonstrations, they go and chant slogans. But if I'm in a TV studio to discuss a serious matter, is this the place where I should be asked to chant a slogan, as sometimes people have been asked to do? So there is a time and a place for everything. Some people want to worship Mother India, they are welcome. They think of their country in the form of a goddess. They are welcome to it. If I'm an atheist, I may not. I may think of my country in a different way. I may choose a different slogan. I think this acceptance of variety, even in our freedom struggle, we had a variety of slogans. I can assure you that Mahatma Gandhi or Sardar Patel or Jawaharlal Nehru or Maulana Azad never stood there and said, you say this slogan, whether Bharat Ki Mata or Jai Hind, as was favored by Subhash Bose, who's such a favorite. I don't know why they don't pick up his slogan. It's perfectly innocuous. Nobody seems to have any problems with it. But you pick up a slogan with which people may have problems, and then you insist that everybody must chant it, so that those who express some reservations automatically become anti-national. So there is a design here.
There is a design here. Vivek Katju, would you agree with that there is a design here, or how do you see this whole atmosphere which has been created now?
Look, I am not an eminent academic, as I am not an academic, I am not an academic at all, but so I'll answer it as a common person.
No, you are an eminent diplomat, you have served in various countries.
I think slogans have a role in public life. I've seen that in all societies where I've served, in all countries where I've been on assignment and otherwise. they become sharper in times of contention, in times of conflict, but they are there, and there is a certain sentiment which has to be expressed, and it finds its way through slogans. Now, at the present moment, what I see is an ideological contest which is taking place in the country between two camps, as it were. And I think this itself is unfortunate. It is not as if that one camp is being less strident than the other. Both are being equally strident, and I find at times both are being equally irrational. Now, yes.
Explain that.
Yes, I'm saying this. Now, obviously, India has variety, and that is our beauty. No one is doubting that. But there is when some people say that, look, there is a certain limit. For example, if there are slogans being chanted in a university, even a liberal university, which ask for the destruction of India, whether from outsiders or insiders, it hurts everyone. And that, I think, is not acceptable, at least here. It may be acceptable in certain societies. Here, it evokes a very sharp reaction.
Okay.
And therefore, all that has taken place in the past few weeks has started from that context. Now, the slogan Bharat Mata Ki Jai, it comes naturally to most Indians. At least it comes naturally to me. It might not come.
How often are you asked to chant this slogan?
No, it's not a case of asking to chant it. If I hear it, I don't find it unnatural. If I were to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, if I hear the slogan at, say, in a cricket match, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, I don't find it irrational or
I don't think
unnatural.
Anybody finds it irrational.
No. Second, I do not think that anyone who is saying Bharat Mata Ki Jai is using it in a religious context. It is to me synonymous with Jai Hind. It is synonymous with Bharat Ki Jai. So if someone has a problem with this, I feel that it would be better if that person were to explain, which a vast majority does not find it objectionable, if he were to explain that, look, I am not being unpatriotic if I don't say this. I have a problem of faith which prevents me from saying this. I think that would cool tempers down. And today, my appeal to both the ideological camps would be that, look, cool it down, because both sides are being strident, as I said.
Okay. Professor Agrawal, how do you react to what Mr. Katju
agrees? Before reacting to that, I think let me clarify that I have been a political commentator and hugely interested in political developments, but actually I was a professor of Hindi literature at
I'm
JNU,
sorry.
not of political science anyway. I think basically nationalism of any kind, yes, it is a sentiment. And like every sentiment, it is rooted in certain ethical and philosophical propositions. So whether you chant Bharat Mata Ki Jai or you chant Inqilab Jindabad or you chant Vande Mataram or Jai Hind or whatever, I think to me most important is that what kind of nationalism you are standing for. I agree with Mr. Katju that any slogan calling for the destruction of India is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable to me because to me, India represents a unique experiment in the history of the world of creating a modern nation state on the basis of plurality, on the basis of diversity, and still a nation state with a sense of unity. And therefore, the destruction, calling for the destruction of such an experiment is certainly absolutely unacceptable to me. Now, since we are talking of the sentiment being expressed through a slogan, so are we talking of a constitutional nationalism or we are talking of ethnic nationalism? It's not a question of religious or irreligious nationalism. The question is that whether some Indians are more Indians than others because of their religious or cultural background, or we all Indians who actually have faith in the constitution, have faith in the democratic and secular character of this country, this polity and this society. Therefore, I think more important than the slogan, more important is the ethical basis of the sentiment of nationalism. This is point number one. Point number two, you see, nationalism generally is associated with a singularity context. You have one language, one religion, one culture, one tradition. That is how nationalism has generally been defined in the context of post-Westphalia rearrangement in Europe. India has been unique precisely because of the fact that here there is an attempt of integrating people, there is an attempt of including people by accommodating, by actually giving them space for their dissent, for their differences, for their varieties, not by insisting on a particular kind of idea of India. And I think that's a huge difference. And therefore, I think if you really want people from all over the country, from all backgrounds, from all kind of cultures to feel as equal participant in the idea of India, instead of belligerently insisting on this or that slogan, it would be better if we were to include their concerns, if we were to make our nationalism more inclusive, more democratic, and more ethical. I mean, after all, as people have been raising questions, I mean, suppose I chant Bharat Mata ki Jai or Jai Hind. If I do not, I fail in my citizenship duties, do I still remain a patriotic person? I mean, I am a teacher and I do not take my classes. I am a government servant and I take huge bribes. I am a minister and I am absolutely unaccountable in my political and administrative responsibilities. But I chant a particular slogan religiously 3 times a day. Does it make more patriotic? Does it make me more patriotic than the others? Therefore, I think, like every sentiment, let us actually focus on the ethical dimension of the sentiment of nationalism also.
Okay, I think you made that point clear. You wanted to come in.
No, I just want to say, I think slogans, symbols, etc. Are there, but they are rooted, at least to my mind, they are rooted in a certain reality. Let me ask, the symbols that we adopted were symbols which came from our ancient past, not from the past which related to the British period. It did not come from the past which came after the 12th century.
So?
Now, did that make those slogans unethical? Are those symbols unethical?
No.
Did they make them
unnational,
sort of as a suspect of our new nationhood that we are creating? No. I think let us not forget that in the public space there will be a manifestation of certain majority groups which are there, which doesn't mean that
which
doesn't mean that minorities do not have a right to full citizenship or freedom.
Just 1 minute, just 1 minute. One of the most popular slogans during the freedom movement and even today is Inqilab Jindabad.
Yes.
And it does not come from Sanskrit. That is number one. It certainly comes post 12th century era. Secondly, nobody has any objection to, let us say, motto like Satyamev Jayate. Nobody has any objection to a symbol like Dharma Chakra. Nobody has any objection to tricolor, the flag and its color symbolizing certain cultural aspects. The point is that when you try to exclude people by design or by subtle design, then there is the problem. You actually
that is where you say the ethical aspect comes into it.
So ethics of nationalism is extremely important.
Okay, this is exactly what I've been saying. All this is contention.
Professor Sharma, you know, there is this resolution. There is the RSS. One of your RSS senior leaders has said that, you know, not chanting Bharat Mata ki Jai, you know, amounts to anti-nationalism. The BJP yesterday passed a resolution saying that not chanting Bharat Mata ki Jai is going against the constitution. So, you know, how do you look at this? You know, is this not forcing people to do something which they will do in the natural course of things? But, you know, when you force them, then there is a problem there.
See, whatever discussion is taking place, I think there is a need to have some kind of a dispassionate view. During the freedom struggle, when Jawaharlal Nehru, as Mridula ji was saying, Sardar Patel and others, they also chanted slogans and they mobilized people around those slogans, but nobody objected to them. So the basic fact is that now unnecessary debates are being created by a certain group of ideologues or certain ideological camp and creating controversy around nationalism. In fact, why people are saying that there is a need for chanting Bharat Mata ki Jai? The need for chanting Bharat Mata ki Jai is to revive the kind of a feel of being Indian. It's a question of Indian pride. Over a period of time, it seems that there's a decline of the feel of India. And if you want to regenerate the feel of India, I think it is better if we in the educational institutions do begin our day in the class, before the class, by chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai or Jai Hind or Jai Bharat. Now that will create a feeling that I am proud of my country, India, and I have a feel of my country, India. I will live for it, I will die for it. And at the same time, you know what is happening? What is happening is that whenever anyone talks of nationalism, it is given some kind of a color, that there is some kind of a group who is trying to force upon. Nobody has said that it should be forced down the throat of everyone. But what has been said is that it is nice, it is time to revive the feeling of India. And to revive the feeling of India, one must chant the nationalist slogans.
On a daily
because
basis.
these slogans
What has
have an
happened to
impact
India?
on the personality of
but-
people. Slogan has a meaning. Slogan has an impact on the mind of the people.
Okay. Vinod Sharma, before.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay, but your point's taken. Vinod Sharma, you know,
Well,
the idea of India, according to Professor Rajiv Sharma, the idea of India was dissipating. There was some amount of, you know, erosion in the feeling about India in this country. So we need to chant these slogans on a regular basis to revive this feeling.
well, there is an idea of India which has been handed down from one generation to another for the past many, many decades. And it is that idea of India over which there is a huge tussle of ideas. And this is a new happening in the history of this country. I often believe that why should I be told, given a phraseology in which I have to express my love for my country? Why should I be given a particular line that I must sing? You know, Article 1 of the Constitution of India reads as follows: India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. There is a variety of expression even in the naming of this country. India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. That is Article 1. And may I read certain lines to you in order to distinguish between, you know, what is actually happening. That there are certain people, certain forces, certain ideological forces that are trying to inject a lot of sentiment, a lot of emotion, a lot of passion into this whole idea of nationalism. And there is another side which is trying to bring forth a lot of logic which is rooted in the reality of India to counter that idea of love for Mother India. Now, Sahir Saab wrote 4 lines. And there are 4 beautiful lines which I'd like to recite in this program in order to distinguish the real from the fictional. You know, he said, Agoshe mulayam mein sulaya mujhko, humko. Agoshe mulayam mein sulaya humko, खामोश आवाज से जगाया हमको. हम भी कुछ बनाए तेरे बिगड़े हुए काम है खाके वतन तूने बनाया हमको. Now, is this not nationalism? Is this not expression of love for India? Where is this shrill sloganeering here? Why can't we be understated in our love for India? Why can't we be rational in deciding what is your nationalism may not necessarily be my nationalism? My nationalism, for instance, may teach me that India should have great brotherly relations with all neighbors, including Pakistan. But somebody's nationalism may tell him, no, have great relations with every other neighbor except Pakistan. Now, unless this conflict of ideas exists in our country, you shall not be able to achieve your true national objectives.
Okay.
And that is
Okay.
true nationalism.
Okay.
That we all work together despite differences
Okay.
towards our national objectives, which
Okay.
are on which there is a consensus.
Okay. Mridula, you know, the Bharat Mata Ki Jai was a slogan which was used repeatedly during the pre-independence struggle. When did
Along with many others.
I'm talking about along with many others. Certainly that also, and along with many others. But Bharat Mata,
In the south of India, I ask you,
Correct.
do you use Bharat Mata Ki Jai?
No, it's become a Sanskritized slogan, so everybody's, you know, in the
there
schools and
there
all
are
that.
many variations.
Many variations of
In
it.
linguistic
No, but the question is this:
variations.
when did it attain some certain communal color to it?
No.
Historically, why has it acquired? Do you agree that it has acquired certain communal color?
You know, I would say that it is acquiring a color. I would say for the first time, I've become aware of it now because of the manner in which it is being forced. So here you are taking a perfectly innocent, acceptable slogan from the repertory, the wide repertory of the freedom struggle, and you are communalizing it. That's why I asked the question. There are so many other slogans. If indeed all that you're doing is to popularize and bring back into currency slogans which inspired our freedom struggle, then why not
And also,
references to...
No, as Professor Sharma says, that these slogans are necessary now to revive the spirit of Indianness among people.
Well, there, I don't know, I have a little, difference over there or doubt. I mean, I do not see that India, in fact, is in some serious, grave danger of any kind, external or internal. We have economic problems, we have political problems, but they are not of a kind where nationalism has to be aroused.
People are losing their Indianness. That is the argument.
Well, on that, I would like to say that I think the real problem, as I see it, is that the middle class in India and the upper middle class wants to send its children and hopefully and maybe themselves all abroad, especially to the West. So the brain drain is I think one of the gravest threats that we face. I would like the substance of nationalism, where you at least inspire people and students to stay back in their country and serve this country, for me would be better nationalism than privileging and in fact catering to the NRI kind of nationalism, which is a very comfortable nationalism, living thousands of miles away from the smell, the sweat, the poverty of this country, and showing your patriotism through hyper-nationalist slogans.
Yes.
Now,
I'll come to you.
this is precisely what I've been urging. That this kind of convention, sort of contention, and forgive me for using the word, this kind of invectiveness which is being imparted. Now, some side, please,
One second.
let me hear it.
What is invectiveness?
Please.
What is the invectiveness
This
you're
is what
talking
I'm
about?
coming to.
Yes.
Bharat Mata ki jai, for someone it is natural. There is no attempt at communalizing it. But because of the ideological debate, contention that is taking place today, the suspicions are being aroused in the country. No, it is communal. Now, let me just complete very quickly. What did Professor Sharma say? He said, in the schools, if supposing, and I'll say not to revive, to reinforce a spirit of nationalism, the children are asked to say Bharat ki jai. I was in Egypt.
Bharat ki jai is different from Bharat Mata ki jai.
He said, what did Professor Sharma say? He said, Bharat Mata ki jai, Jai Hind or Bharat ki jai. Ask him, I heard him say that. If that is, now this is precisely, you are Bharat ki jai is acceptable. Bharat Mata ki jai is not acceptable.
Nobody said it's not acceptable.
When it is
One second.
There's nothing communal in Bharat Mata ki jai. Javed Akhtar says it is my right to say.
Let Professor Agrawal respond.
I just want to make two brief points. One, as a student of political developments over the last 20 years, I suspect this aggressive kind of Indian nationalism is actually being promoted and supported most vocally by those who left this country when it needed them most, to put it quite bluntly. That is the period of 60s, when we were suffering from famines, when we were having a lot of problems. Many people left this country for good, for the greener pastures and green cards of USA. Now they are talking of Bharat Mata ki jai most vociferously. That is number one. And this I can prove academically if you want. Secondly, I would again reiterate, the point is that when you talk of nationalism, what is the ethics, what is the concept behind that sentiment? Now, so far as people losing their pride in Indianness, people losing their faith in Indianness, yes, here are people who used to say just a year ago that sometimes ago people used to feel कि भारत में जन्म लेके पाप किया है, पिछले जन्म के पापों की वजह से हम भारत में पैदा हुए हैं. Nobody said this before. भारत में पैदा होना किसी पाप का परिणाम है. You know who said this and in what context and where. So this is the issue, that where you are coming from. Thirdly, yes, it is important to inculcate the feeling of nationalism, inculcate the feeling of pride in Indianness and all that. But I think in schools and in colleges and universities, the most important feeling to be inculcated is the feeling of inquisitiveness, feeling of curiosity, feeling of thirst of knowledge. Let us not forget that this is the country of Nachiketa also. And Nachiketa does not belong
Professor
to...
Saab, they are not mutually exclusive.
No, they are made mutually exclusive.
No, but they are not mutually exclusive.
I want to know that why shouldn't we chant every day some slogan in honor of Nachiketa, who questioned even his father when it was a matter of ethics?
Okay.
Why shouldn't we every day say Nachiketa ki jai?
I'll see the specific. The
I
specific.
wanted to make a very yes. Go ahead.
No, you finish that point because there is a specific. The resolution passed yesterday. I'll come to you, sir. The resolution passed yesterday by the BJP that if you don't chant slogan, you are going against the constitution. This is something which one has to respond
That's what the point, therefore, that I was trying to make, and I think Mr. Katju is probably misunderstood. I hope it is only misunderstood. The main point I've been trying to make it cannot be coercive. I have never said that if someone wants to and it is natural that there is any problem with it. I don't have any problem with it. It's not a question. But nobody, I think, has the right to force anybody else to chant any slogan, however desirable it may be.
Okay, as far as this constitution.
This is a question of coercion. Constitution does not give you any such right to force anybody to chant any slogan. I'm sorry.
Constitution does not.
However desirable it may be.
Refusal
However
to chant.
innocuous it may
I
be.
will. I'm reading from the resolution. Our constitution describes India as Bharat also. Refusal to
Bharat
chant
also. Yes.
Yes. But refusal to chant victory to Bharat. Victory to Bharat. 1 second. Tantamounts to disrespect to our constitution itself. Bharat Mata ki Jai is not merely a slogan.
Will it be all right?
It was a mantra of inspiration to countless freedom fighters within India. This is the resolution.
If you were talking of constitution, I just want to say two things. Does the constitution specify a particular slogan as the symbol of patriotism? It does not. Number two, if you were to go strictly by the constitution, then will it be all right if I were to chant the slogan Hail India? Because after India, that is Bharat. Will it be all right if I were to say Hail India or India ki Jai? Why should I say Bharat Mata ki Jai only then? India ki Jai should be good enough.
Okay, Mr. Sharma.
Jai Hind
Mr.
should be
Sharma.
good enough.
Professor Sharma.
I think I have been listening to these all arguments, but if you go, if you really care to listen to Javed Akhtar ji, he has given answer to all these questions in his debate, in his speech in Parliament, and I think we should very carefully listen to what Javed Akhtar has said, and he has no problem in chanting Bharat Mata ki Jai. And at the same time,
I don't think anybody has.
if you go to the Constitution, I can prove it that it is there. That Bharat Mata ki Jai is the duty of everyone.
In Constitution,
no, let me tell
sir,
you.
in the Constitution,
that preamble of the Constitution.
One second, sir, one second.
While it talks,
Professor Sharma, Professor Sharma, is it there in the Indian Constitution?
Yes.
It's there.
Yes, I'm
Which
saying
article?
it is implied in the it is implied in the Constitution.
Chapter and verse.
If you go through if you go through the sir, please let me complete. Please let me complete. Please let me complete.
Please complete, sir.
You know, if you go through the preamble of the Constitution talks that we want to assure every Indian of assuring unity and integrity of the country.
Where is
It
Bharat
talks
Mata
of
there?
dignity of the individual. And if you talk of the fundamental duties, salute to the flag and salute to the country is a part of fundamental duty.
No,
Should we not care for the fundamental
Of
duties?
course, nobody's.
Should we not care for the preamble of the Constitution?
How is that
And-
related to what we are
And
talking,
at the
sir?
therefore, if
How is
anybody
that related to what
refuses,
we are
Where the
talking?
discussion is,
No,
I
no.
really don't know.
Okay,
sir,
Vinay,
if anybody
I really don't
refuses,
understand
if
where the
anybody
discussion is
refuses
So,
to
sir,
perform the
where is this
fundamental
particular
duty,
slogan all-
it is unconstitutional.
fundamentals. Okay, Vinod, very quickly, last
But
word.
I don't think that any political party should interpret the Constitution to me, The interpreters of the Constitution this is the Supreme Court of India. And I'll rather pay heed to what they say. I have my own understanding of the Constitution of India. This is a Constitution that we have collectively bequeathed to ourselves, we the people. And a reference was made by Professor Sharma to the speech of Javed Akhtar. May I remind him that Javed Akhtar also mentioned that there was a slogan happening in the countryside, that Musalman ke do hi stan, Kabristan ya Pakistan.
Exactly.
We should be aware of that also.
Okay.
And secondly, he said that the beauty of democracy is that there is an alterable majority and minority.
No, he said
But,
Bharat Mata
sir-
ki Jai, I will call.
Oh,
Bharat
sir,
Mata ki Jai, I
sir,
will
I
chant
heard
Bharat
the
Mata
full
ki
speech.
Jai.
Sir, nobody-
No,
fine.
please listen to me. I was in Parliament. I heard it fully. I'm not being dishonest and recollecting. Yes, he said that. I'm not contradicting what you have said. I'm saying what he said, what other things he said.
Okay.
And the other things he said, other thing he said was, which you must pay heed, is that don't try to give definitions of majority and minority that are permanent. And
Okay.
that will be an antithesis to democracy.
Okay.
And that is what is happening in this country.
Okay, Vinod, on
and that
that
is what is
note-
agitating people like us.
Okay,
That
Vinod.
we shall not salute our motherland in the language you ascribe.
Okay,
we will
Vinod,
do it in
on
our
that-
language.
On that note, we need to end. This is a very contentious debate, as you have seen. I don't want to add anything more to it. You've all seen it, and you can make up your own minds. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue, the big picture, same time tomorrow.